One of the worst-kept secrets in all of television history is the fact that Adult Swim's Rick and Morty is filled to the brim with Easter eggs, tongue-in-cheek references, and obvious homages to all things pop culture. While co-creators Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland have imbued the sci-fi adventure comedy series with a ton of clear film and television mentions, they've also incorporated at least double that amount under the radar. Here are some references in Rick and Morty that you may have missed.
Rick and Morty and their adventures, Morty. Rick and Morty forever and forever 100 years. Rick and Morty some things. Me and Rick and Morty and running around and Rick and Morty time.
Community. For fans who have been around the television watching block a few times before, it's hardly a shock to learn that series co-creator Dan Harmon was the brains behind NBC's Community. Unfortunately, Community had a troubled 6-year run, temporarily losing Harmon as a showrunner and switching networks before it was finally cancelled. In Rick and Morty, Harmon pokes some serious fun at the downfall of Community, hitting the series' soft spots. In Season 2's autoerotic assimilation, Rick and his on-again, off-again collective hive mind lover Unity are watching television, with the events playing out on screen controlled by Unity itself.
Now make them all make fun of the blonde one. Now make them all do it on the table. Can't believe you created a whole show for me. Now cancel it. Okay, now put it back on.
And if there was any doubt, the whole crew appears on screen a moment later. Weekend at Bernie's. The 1989 black comedy Weekend at Bernie's follows a pair of low-level suits working at a New York insurance company who end up spending their Labor Day weekend hauling around their dead boss, Bernie, and trying to convince everyone he's still alive. Classic, right? Among the bits in Season 1's Rick's D-Minutes, there's a spoof trailer for a movie that centers around a dead elderly woman being puppeted by her cats.
What are the kitties to do but buckle together and work as a team? Last will and test me out. Weekend at Dead Cat Lady's House 2.
Hail to the King. The Season 1 episode, Something Wicked This Way Comes, isn't shy about its inspiration. It's a sci-fi mashup of Ray Bradbury's 1962 dark fantasy novel Something Wicked This Way Comes, in which a mysterious man gives the locals their greatest desires. It's not exactly subtle.
Detects and catalogs all your Twilight Zone, Ray Bradbury, Friday the 13th, the series voodoo crap magic.
It's also an obvious riff on Stephen King's classic horror book Needful Things, where an elderly man runs a very weird, dangerous shop. But the vintage horror references don't end there.
I'm here to pick up my undead cat and child.
While the quip may just seem like typical Rick and Morty irreverence, it's actually a subtle reference to Stephen King's 1983 horror novel Pet Sematary, which follows the Creed family. They're plagued by back-to-back tragedies, the accidental deaths of their cat and their 2-year-old son, both of whom disturbingly come back to life as demonic weirdos determined to kill. And the fourth-dimensional testicle monsters from A Wrinkle in Time? They're a spitting image of the terrifying time-bending creatures seen in the 1995 miniseries The Langoliers, based on a story by Stephen King.
You better keep back! Man, this will turn your ass into a third trimester fetus from 30 yards!
Zardoz. Raising Gazorpazorp will likely go down in Rick and Morty history as one of the strangest episodes the series has ever put forth. But with all its uniqueness, there were references hidden throughout, like the Footloose tribute that sees Morty Jr. busting an angsty move in an abandoned warehouse. And who could miss the Raising Arizona nod in the title? But it goes deeper than that. When Rick and Summer pay a visit to Gazorpazorp in the Andromeda system, they see a giant floating head fly in to drop down artificially crafted women used for procreation. The head is almost identical to the one seen in the 1974 sci-fi cult film Zardoz, a flick co-creator Harmon told his Harmontown podcast listeners to watch back in April 2013. Animal Farm. George Orwell's Animal Farm gets a few carefully crafted references throughout the Lawnmower Dog episode of Rick and Morty. And in case you're counting, that title is another Stephen King reference. When the family's pet pup Snuffles gains sentience and decides to take down all of humanity, he uses his powers to construct a full bodysuit and express just how angry he is about the way dogs have grown from wild beasts to humans' playthings. It's a progression of events that loosely mimics what's seen in Orwell's allegorical novella. But that's just surface-level stuff. There's also this scene where Snuffles decides to change his name.
Dad, he wants to be called Snowball.
Well, I'm not calling him that. That's ridiculous.
If you know your literature, Snowball is the name of one of the main characters in Animal Farm, Buck Rogers in the 25th century. There are about 1,000 reasons why the noble bird person is such a cherished Rick and Morty character, but even his character is borrowed wholesale from 1980s sci-fi. The TV series Buck Rogers in the 25th Century had no shortage of interesting characters, but it was the alien named Hawk who really stood out. Hawk, played by Tom Christopher, was a half-man, half-bird warrior who represented the last of a dying breed of bird people, a background bird person himself possesses. Hawk and bird person are similar in appearance as well. One thing's for certain, we wouldn't put it past Rick and Morty to weave a web as weird as one that links Buck Rogers to their own multi-dimensional chaos. Aliens aplenty. Rick and Morty has been riding the reference train from the get-go. Pause the pilot for just a moment to get an up-close and personal look at the visually complex spaceport sequence, and you'll notice that a number of the silhouettes shown are actually classic pop culture figures. Near the center of the frame are three creatures that look exactly like the wisecracking robots Tom Servo, Crow T. Robot, and Gypsy from the sci-fi comedy series Mystery Science Theater 3000. Nearby, there's a shadow that resembles the terrifying xenomorph from the Alien film franchise. Way over to the left-hand side of the screen, there's a carbon copy of the blippy alien figure from the 1978 arcade game Space Invaders. And of course, a gratuitous Ferengi from Star Trek. Gravity Falls. If you didn't have your peepers peeled, you may have missed a few quick nods to Disney's Gravity Falls, created by Justin Roiland's friend Alex Hirsch. Look closely during the scene in Close Encounters of the Rick kind, and you'll see a pen, notepad, and a mug emerge from a portal. The exact same item Stan drops through a portal in Gravity Falls' Society of the Blind Eye episode, and during Big Trouble in Little Sanchez, you can spot an image of Gravity Falls' main antagonist Bill Cipher on an alien computer screen. Even deeper than that, in the Season 3 premiere The Rick Shank Redemption, Morty is seen holding what appears to be Journal 3 from Gravity Falls, as he walks through the Citadel of Ricks. And with so many off-kilter versions of the duo in sight, you may not have spotted a set of Morty twins in the background. One is wearing Dipper's pine tree hat, and the other has on Mabel's headband and sports her signature hairstyle.
And that's the way the news goes.
Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.